Okay, guys, Paul here from Paul's Path. We all know what the path stands for. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed the path. And the path I'm on, that other people around with me have not failed. Because we're on the spiritual path and we don't leave anything out, and we're honest and we're willing, and we make it a priority, you know. So yesterday talked about step 2. Today we're going to talk about step 3, okay? We talked about 1 and 2. Now 1 and 2 is, don't forget, step 1 is we're going to go back to drinking no matter what, on our own, without spiritual principles, without a higher power. Step 1 is insanity or death, okay? Step 2 is to live life on a spiritual basis. Find a higher power, and the only way you're going to find that higher power that's going to restore you to sanity, which is going to lift the mercy of this obsession, is to live along spiritual basis. Do with God, or do it whatever your higher power wants you to do. And we're undisciplined. Alcoholics are undisciplined. So it says right here that we let God discipline us in the simple way that Bill and Bob have outlined. Okay? So step 3 starts off with, before step 3 it says, A, that we were alcoholic, could not manage our own lives. 1. That probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. 1. That God could and would if he were sought. Step 2. You got to be convinced of those 2 things. Those 2 things you got to be convinced of, and there's no door number 3. It's either God could and would, or our lives are going to be unmanaged, but we're going to keep drinking. There's no door number 3. There's no try to control it or just don't drink no matter what, okay? So being convinced of these 3 things, being convinced, we are now at step 3, which is that we decided to turn our will and our life over to the care of God as we understood him. Just what do we mean by that, and just what do we do? I'll tell you what I think, okay? What we mean by that is we're going to align our will. I'm going to turn it over. We're going to align our will with God's will. And what that means is we're going to do what we think God would have us do and think. So our will is our thinking. Like when you write a will and you tell people what you want to do with your goods and all that, it's your thinking. And your life is just all your actions. And then when you get to page 87 on step 11, you're actually doing it. It says we pause when agitated or doubtful and ask God for the next right thought, which is the will, or action, which is our life. Now in step 3, we're not doing it there. We're making a decision to do it. Making a decision to do what? To work the rest of the steps. Because by working the rest of the steps, I'm going to align my will with God's will. That's it. You work the steps, you carry out the decision. If I make a decision right now to go down to the store and get some milk and I stay here, it's just a decision. So the book says it's a crucial and vital step. It's a big decision, but has no permanent effect unless followed at once by a strenuous effort to face and be rid of the things that are blocking us from God. So this program is not about getting anything. We're not getting anything. We're removing stuff. We're removing what's blocking us from God directing us. God can't direct a mind and body full of resentments and self-pity and fear and shame and guilt and manipulation and lies and cheating. We got to look at that stuff, remove that stuff, and then we can be God directed. So why would we do that? It's just like I said, why would we make a decision and then carry it out? Because our life depends on it. It's either insanity or death, or life on a spiritual basis. No door number 3. No third option. I pick life on a spiritual basis. I'm going to get busy working step 4. Because what it means is I'm going to align my thinking and my actions with what God wants me to do. And when I do that, the merciless obsession is lifted from me. And I no longer even require a drink. I become a different person. I become a God-directed person. The last thing that's in the 12 and 12, it says, true ambition is not what we thought it was. True ambition is a deep desire to live usefully and walk humbly under the grace of God. It ain't got nothing to do about getting. It's got to do about being useful. I've been happy before, and I've been useful, and I'll take useful any day, especially when there's a little boy dying in the hospital. I don't want to be happy, but boy, I can be useful, and I can help him and his mom, and so can you. And when a newcomer comes in and he's all beat up, and we don't have to be happy, but we can be useful. Because we can bring light where there's darkness, and we can bring hope where there's despair. And we can understand, love, and comfort others instead of looking for it. And that's what it means to carry out the decision. So it's just a decision. That's all it is. But it's a very important decision. Because if you don't carry out the decision, you're going to go back to insanity or death, and you're not going to make it, and you're going to drink yourself to death, or you're going to overdose on fentanyl, or you're going to overdose on heroin, or you're going to overdose on a mixture of it. But you're not going to live, and if you do live, you wish you were dead. You get to the jumping off point where I'm still alive, but I wish I was dead. There is one thing in this world that's worse than death. You know what it is? Torture. I'd rather be dead than tortured, and drinking is torture. It used to be good, but it turned into torture. Anyway, that's step 3. Love you all. I hope you got something out of that. I'm going to talk about step 4 tomorrow, and I'm out. Thanks for the donations.